62,000 ballots, all by hand. They began Thursday night, and they hope to finish up by Tuesday. Maybe even early from last report we got. They may finish early. Who knows?
I want to send out a special welcome. New friend joining us here at CNN to help us with the weather, and that would be Andrew Humphrey. Andrew, good to see you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much. Good to see both of you, too. Well, we're talking about some winter-like weather in parts of Texas, including around the Dallas area and also around Waco. That's why some of these watches and advisories are up. Show you the current picture right now. Actually go into this storm that's taking place along the Gulf Coast. These areas of green that you see here, this is some chilly rain that's occurring right now on parts of eastern Texas. And some of it quite heavy, too, especially across the Gulf Coast. Places like New Orleans and southern parts of Louisiana could experience 3 to 5 inches of rain, and there are some flash flood watches that are up for parts of southern Louisiana, so you want to watch out for that. Further to the north, it's still pretty cold, where we might have some sleet falling in parts of northern Mississippi and northern Alabama. Folks there really aren't used to that, so watch out for any iciness that might be on the roadways, although a lot of this is what's known as virga. That is sleet or snow that is coming out of the clouds, but not exactly touching the ground. So expect a wet and soggy day across much of the Gulf Coast. That's taking a look at the weather. Back to you.
Well, I'm taking back my warm welcome for Andrew. Only after we tossed him, you tell me another guy from Ohio.
That's right. What's wrong with that?
That's you, got Bill Hemmer.
Aren't you the lucky one?
You Ohio people are everywhere.
That's right. You can't escape.
We get some more Californians on this show, I'm telling you.
All right, let's move on. Accuracy. That's the name of the game when it comes to ballot counting.
Just ahead, man versus machine. We'll look at whether one method is better than another. All that ahead on CNN.
I have a mother. I have a father. I even have a big brother. I don't need someone else looking out for me. I need someone who can help me look out for myself.
At Lincoln Financial Group, our goal is to make the financial world clear and understandable so you can make informed decisions. Lincoln Financial Group, clear solutions in a complex world.
Today on Evans Novak Hunt and Shields, the battle for the presidency with Senate Democratic leader Tom Daschle. Today, 5:30 Eastern on CNN.
In the twilight of a winter night, a sparkling ornament lends the world its light. What lo and ho, the cheers at dawn reveal glistening magic. It's Christmas time delight. Resounding joy bids the day rejoice in all the crystalline world. Good cheer from Swarovski.
Bring your holiday season to light. Gifts of sparkle and light from Crown Showcase, Lloyd Center.
And see what's new on NWCN Northwest Cable News.
It's a new primetime lineup.
Northwest Netwatch shows you how to make the most of the internet.
Evening Magazine brings you unique stories from your hometown.
NWCN, the Northwest 9 o'clock news. Get the stories of the day at an earlier time.
Northwest Sports Tonight focuses on your favorite local teams.
And Northwest Extra goes deeper into the top stories of the day.
It's a new primetime lineup on NWCN Northwest Cable News.
A cable exclusive on AT&T Broadband Channel 49.
The vote certification's on hold. What's your opinion? 3 Eastern.
I'm Perry Peltz. CNN.com won't be seen this week because of extended election coverage, but please be sure to join us next week at this time for a look at, among other things, need and greed in Silicon Valley. We're going to look at one man's crusade to help new money millionaires give some of their .com dollars back. Hope to see you then.
Let's check the latest developments in the Florida recount right now. The Florida State Supreme Court has scheduled oral arguments on the issue of hand recounts for Monday. The court ruled that voting results could not be certified until it was decided whether those recounts would be included. Associated Press reports George W. Bush leads Al Gore by 926 votes now. This unofficial tally includes a counting of overseas absentee ballots from all of Florida's counties. And the recounts go on today in Palm Beach and Broward counties. Officials in a third South Florida county, Miami-Dade, have decided to begin a recount tomorrow. Let's take you inside now and give you a look at how things are looking right now in Broward County. There you see workers there examining some 462,000 ballots.
And now to Palm Beach County, and that's where we find our John Zarella. John, I understand recounts there actually a little bit ahead of schedule.
No. I thought I heard Leon saying that a few minutes ago, and I hope he's right, because the latest word we have right now means I'll probably be out here on Thanksgiving Day with a smoker cooking turkey, because they're going as fast as they can, but they say it's really a very tedious process, going slowly. They thought perhaps Tuesday they'd be wrapped up, but now they're saying that looks very optimistic. We hope we'll have an update from them later this afternoon. When I asked the judge a while ago what he thought might happen, he just said, look, we're going as fast as we can. The process is extremely tedious, and Judge Burton, though, he told us that, the Republicans are coming out and saying it's very chaotic in there. The Democrats are coming out and they're saying, no, everything's going fine. And Judge Burton came out a while ago and said, look, it's going smoothly.
Quite honestly, I think this has been going on very nicely. I think the honest assessment is, with all the talk about this being hocus pocus and this and that and dimples, there are very, very few of those ballots. Very few. Most of these have been really not a problem, without objection from either side.
A couple hours ago across town, there was a rally from some Democratic groups got together, staging a rally, another one of these demanding a revote and the full recount here in Palm Beach County. They say that there will be many more rallies ahead until they get what they believe is an honest count of the votes in Palm Beach County. And of course, that honest count that they want is going to come out of here behind me, the Emergency Operations Center. Back to you folks in Atlanta. Leon, Darren.
All right, thanks, John. We'll see you in a bit. Manual recounts or machine recounts? Which method gives the most accurate vote totals? Well, as CNN's Brooks Jackson reports, nobody and nothing is perfect.
Is a machine count enough? The plain fact is, punch card reading machines routinely make small errors.
It would be rare to have these types of cards fed through and have a large number of cards without there being some minor discrepancy.
Schwartz's company provides punch card equipment and services to universities and businesses, where he says multiple machine counts are routine and hand counts of cards are not uncommon.
We make sure we run them through twice and compare the results for 100% accuracy. If we're getting a difference, we then examine the cards to find out what the problem is, whether it's the card reader's problem, something's jammed in there, or whatever.
If counting machines were perfect, you should get the same count every time a given batch of ballots is run through. Theoretically.
Theoretically, you should, but you probably get a slight variation because all the chat are not clearly detached. So the reader may or may not see enough light or may not be able to read what the voter did.
Smolka has covered vote counting controversies for 30 years.
We haven't found an infallible vote counting method yet.
Machines are always suspect, and they can have problems to them. You need to have that double check and cross check of a hand count. That is allowed in almost every single state of the nation.
Would hand counting damage the cards? Not according to this expert.
The cards are designed to be handled by people. That was the purpose when IBM developed these cards, and they're used for all sorts of purposes where they are handled by people.
Vendors of vote counting equipment say accuracy can reach 100% given proper maintenance and exacting procedures for handling ballots. But even a tiny error rate can make a critical difference.
There were nearly 6 million votes counted for president in Florida. An error of only 1/100th of 1% would amount to 595 votes, enough to change the outcome.
And machines are all too human. Brooks Jackson, CNN, Washington.
If nothing else, this election will be one for the history books, and a lesson in that is just ahead.
That's right. Joining us next is a presidential historian who's going to compare today's events with those of the past. Stay with us.
It has arrived.
Listen to me. We have absolutely nothing to fear.
We're never going to survive this, none of us.
Something so powerful.
There's something wrong here.
something so advanced that it knows no boundaries.
We've got to upgrade the server! It's our only chance!
Sun Microsystems presents The Dot. Your competition will never know what hit them.
It's your thing today. Do what you want to do now.
What do you want to do on the internet? Max out your e-business opportunities? Connect branch offices with complete security? Exchange confidential information? Cylink can help with security solutions that are easy to implement and easy to manage from anywhere on your network. So if you want the security to do your e-business thing, talk to Cylink and do what you want to do. Cylink, securing e-business.
Do what you want to do now.
Everybody's got a tip. Everybody's got a sure thing. Everybody's got a cousin who works with some guy who swears that this baby is it. What everybody doesn't have is the kind of financial confidence that makes it easy to ignore what everyone else is saying. Morgan Stanley Dean Witter. Move your money. Get well connected.
Let's get some historical perspective about what is happening across the nation and in Florida, and talk with presidential historian Richard Shankman joining us here today. And it looks like you are in our Washington bureau. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
First of all, let's go back in history, and I think the race we hear most often is 1876. Give us a little recap of why that applies here. And also, I heard that one didn't wrap up until January, which is quite depressing to think about that thought.
Oh, it didn't wrap up until March.
Oh,
just
even
2
worse.
days before Hayes' election, his inauguration. Rutherford B. Hayes was still unsure if he was going to be president. They only decided 2 days before. Back then, inaugurations were held in March. So this thing went on for months and months and months. This is the election, of course, between Tilden and Hayes. Tilden was the Democrat, Hayes was the Republican. First, the Democrats basically stole the election in 3 states in the South, in South Carolina, Louisiana, and Florida. Florida, interestingly enough. And then the Republicans came back.
Which only had 3 electoral votes at the time?
I'm sorry?
I think Florida only had 3 electoral votes at that time, and now it has 25.
That's right, had fewer. It certainly was a smaller state back then. And then the Republicans came in, they swooped in, and they tried to steal the election back. And then what happened was neither side could really claim victory, so it went to Congress. Congress created a special commission of 15 members, 7 Republicans, 7 Democrats, 1 independent. The independent wound up voting with the Republicans. The Republican became president.
And in the end, a big mess, one for the history books.
In the end, a big mess.
Let's look ahead using one of your books, which you've written, that I think is a very telling title, called Ambition: How the American Presidents Gained Power, Kept Power, and Got Things Done. Taking the last 2 off that list, it's not just about gaining power here for Bush or Gore. It's about keeping power, being more than a one-term president, and getting things done, which, as the more this drags on, might be more difficult to do.
Well, here's the real danger, and nobody has really talked about it yet. If we have a cloud of legitimacy hanging over a president, here's what's going to happen. When the crunch comes and that president has to do something that is not popular, that he has to do just because it's important to be done.
What would be an example? Maybe going to war, or?
Let's go back to Kosovo.
Okay.
Okay? 6 months before the impeachment drama, the NATO generals went to Bill Clinton and said, we need ground troops, 500,000 ground troops in Kosovo to stop Milosevic from going in and basically running the Albanians out of the country.
And they didn't get those ground troops.
No, because Clinton laughed him out of the Oval Office. He says, I'm barely hanging on to the office. I'm trying to survive as president. I don't have the wherewithal. I don't have the power to do what needs to be done here. And so what happens is we don't do what needs to be done, and then we wind up having to have this bombing war where you have nearly 1 million refugees created, and we have to bomb the hell out of this country for 2 months.
So taking that example from the past and looking into the future with that, what you're saying is the process is working right now as it goes through the courts, as it goes through however it's being handled, but what we're doing in dragging this out is creating what will be a weak president, potentially.
This is a repeat of what happened in the late 19th century, where we had one weak president after another after another. Thomas Wolfe called them the lost men of American history because nobody could even remember their names. Hayes, Rutherford B. Hayes, Cleveland, some people maybe remember him, Benjamin Harrison, Chester Arthur, James Garfield. Most Americans until about 2 weeks ago couldn't name these presidents. Right. And we're in danger of that again. You know, if a president is mainly remembered for how he came to power and not what he did with his power, that's a problem for the country.
Well, and let's just real quickly think about what the loser has to do here. Grover Cleveland did lose out the first time, but he was able to come back and later win. Does whoever loses out here have to watch what they're doing to save their political future?
Well, Cleveland had already been president, so that put him into a superior position. In 1824, you had Jackson, who had not been president in one of these contested elections. He then spent the next 4 years trying to gain power again, and he got it. If the country feels that the incumbent gets there through illegitimate means, then that makes the challenger all more likely to come back 4 years later and win.
Richard Shankman, presidential historian, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Leon.
All right, coming up next, a historic trip to Vietnam. President Clinton pledges to bring every possible fallen hero home. Stay with us.
Sony Digital 8 Handycam camcorder. Advanced features, amazing digital clarity.
There are deals on internet service. There are deals on long distance. But there's only one way to get a great deal on both. Call 1-800-PIN-DROP and sign up for Sprint 1000 nights with unlimited Earthlink internet access. For just $30 a month, you get 1,000 minutes of state-to-state long distance to use every night of the week. Plus, you'll also get unlimited internet access. Surf the web, check email, shop online, anytime you want. It's all in one simple plan with one simple bill for one great price. Just $30 a month gives you unlimited internet access plus 1,000 minutes of nighttime state-to-state long distance. Sign up now for Sprint 1000 nights with unlimited Earthlink internet access. One service, one bill, one low price. Because some things were just meant to be together. Hook up with Sprint and Earthlink at 1-800-PIN-DROP or visit sprint.com.
Bringing you the world for 20 years. This is CNN.
Saddam Hussein announced that all hostages will be free by March 25th. Following a meeting of the Revolutionary Council, the nation's high command, Saddam Hussein decreed that the hostages will be released in batches beginning Christmas Day and then for the next 3 months.
I was in Baghdad during Thanksgiving 1990, and I think we were interested in finding out, where were the human shields, the hostages. We were presented the opportunity to see them by the Iraqis. I remember saying, do you want me to get any message out? I think they knew that they were eventually going to be freed.
Iraq said so-called guests will be freed to give joy to their families on the occasions of Christmas and the New Year. The government declared the hostages will leave Iraq in response to the good efforts of family members and former political leaders who came to Iraq to plead for freedom for the hostages. The announcement comes a day after the information minister of Iraq said no deals would be made for the Thanksgiving holiday. The hundreds of hostages have been scattered across Iraq, from strategic military locations to hotels in Baghdad. More than 100 Americans are held at installations as human shields.
I still felt that we helped show that these people were still alive and in relatively good shape.
CNN 20 is brought to you by Lincoln, American luxury.
Moving on to other news today. In the Middle East, fighting in the Gaza Strip has left one Israeli soldier and one Palestinian dead. 2 other Israeli soldiers were wounded. This all happened when a Palestinian gunman opened fire on an Israeli army outpost. Israel denies reports that it retaliated using rockets fired from helicopters. Meantime, Yasser Arafat has told Palestinians to stop shooting at Israelis from areas under Palestinian control.
President Clinton says that it's time to heal the wounds of the war that ended more than 25 years ago in Vietnam. The president is traveling today to Ho Chi Minh City, which was Saigon in the war years. Earlier, Mr. Clinton visited Hanoi, the Vietnamese capital. He is the first U.S. president ever to visit Hanoi. This historic visit was focused on the issue of Americans missing in action in Vietnam and on the case of one missing pilot in particular. More on Batman's story from CNN's John King.
The search for Captain Lawrence Everett is painstaking. Days digging deep into the clay, sifting for fragments of human remains, pieces of Everett's F-105D aircraft.
Once we get down deep enough, we'll be able to start finding larger pieces.
I'm hit hard was the last radio communication from Everett, his Thunder Chief shot down on a November day 33 years ago. It was an emotional stop for the first family and for Dan and David Everett, who accompanied the president and reflected on the father they last saw when Dan was 8, David 6.
My dad was a great American. He loved the service. He loved to fly planes. He died in the honor of his country. I'm sure that he's grateful that his sons are here to help bring him home.
A bridge along this railway was Everett's target. This hollow amid bean fields and rice paddies, one of 6 active excavation sites in Vietnam, in the ongoing search for the nearly 2,000 American servicemen still missing in Southeast Asia.
By working together to recover those who were lost in a long-ago war, we reduce the chances that any of our children will know war.
Each dig an effort to give one family peace of mind, 2 nations a new beginning.
Once we met here as adversaries, today we work as partners. We are committed to keep at it until we bring every possible fallen hero home.
Joint Task Force Full Accounting is the official name of the effort. 283 sets of remains have been recovered and returned since Mr. Clinton took office. Some 300,000 Vietnamese remain unaccounted for 25 years after the end of the war. And Mr. Clinton brought with him 350,000 pages of U.S. military records he hopes will help in those search efforts. And he promised to turn over 1 million more pages before the year is out. John King, CNN, Hanoi.
And our John King was able to land an interview with President Clinton. You will see that today, that interview from Vietnam. It will air at 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific, and that is tomorrow.
Oh, and any other time, that would be the lead story in almost every
yeah,
single
now, so
show.
by the way,
history.
an interview with President Clinton.
Yeah,
but it should be fascinating nonetheless.
In Vietnam, no less. All right, coming up here on CNN Saturday, all eyes on Florida this weekend.
But for some, the drama is moving from the courtroom to the football field.
Tallahassee are pretty sick of politics, and football takes precedence.
Documents get. Digital copiers, network printers, color imaging. Kyocera is where documents are going.
A Kyocera Document Solutions company.
Every great room has to start somewhere. The most beautiful rooms start with Hunter Douglas. Silhouette window shadings. Duet honeycomb shades. Luminette privacy shoes. Call 1-800-HUNTER-D for a free decorating guide filled with the latest ideas in window fashions. Hunter Douglas, where great rooms begin.
There comes a time in every man's life.
Welcome to the family, Jack.
When he must choose between doing what he's told.
Don't rock the boat, Jack.
And doing what is right.
If we don't get this company on the net, we're dead.
You're a loose cannon, Jack. You have no idea what you're up against.
In a world where you're only as good as your technology.
We're going with Sun.
I'm watching you, Jack. Loose cannon is my middle name.
Critical Decision. A Dot.com production.
I worked hard to be a better doctor. I worked hard to be a better businesswoman. I worked hard to build a better practice. How can I make sure my money works hard so I can spend more time just being a better person?
At Lincoln Financial Group, we offer clear, understandable financial planning to help you protect and enjoy the work of a lifetime. Lincoln Financial Group, clear solutions in a complex world.
Well, while the recounting goes on, we're keeping our eye on the candidates. You're looking here at some pictures we got in just moments ago of Governor George W. Bush returning to the governor's mansion. He spent some time in the office this morning, and according to our Tony Clark, he also went out to get some exercise, or is on his way to do so now. He is no doubt going to keep his eyes and ears peeled, the governor, for what is coming up in about 15 minutes. We understand that in Tallahassee, there's going to be a paper statement issued with a semifinal vote tally. We should be getting that in about 15 minutes or so.
And once again, I guess that final vote tally would include the overseas absentee ballots, but not the hand
Not the
recounts
hand
currently
recounts.
going on in those South Florida counties.
There you go.
Side story to what's happening there in Florida. Media members following the election recount in Tallahassee have been scrambling all week. And we're not just talking about covering this presidential story. They need a place to sleep.
That's right. See, hotel rooms are all booked up there because of tonight's big battle between two of college football's best teams, Florida and Florida State. CNN's Brian Cabell reports that even the presidential contest must briefly take a back seat to this traditional rivalry.
French journalist Fabrice Rousselot is a man in search of a room.
There's two options. Either I find a hotel, close to Tallahassee, which I might go there, or I rent a car and sleep in the car.
Rousselot is not alone. Most of the 5,000 rooms in Tallahassee were reserved months ago for the all-important Florida State-Florida game, and that means journalists trying to cover the unprecedented struggle for the presidency have to vacate their rooms.
We hate to make anybody leave. We want to make everybody happy.
But
when you're full, you're full.
We rented a motorhome and also a 2-bedrooms apartment. Astronomical prices, but I mean, I guess it's better than staying out in the street.
You don't need where to stay tonight? Kicked out of your room or anything? I'm all set, thank you. Sir?
College students with apartments to rent are trying to make a few bucks off the room shortage. Others have offered rooms for free until the football fans clear out again on Sunday. But here in Tallahassee, clearly politics is not the only game this weekend.
FSU! FSU!
80,000 fans are coming to town for a college game which could help decide who's #1 in the nation.
I think people here in Tallahassee are pretty sick of politics, and football takes precedence.
The novelty of the hordes of media and the satellite trucks that have sprung up like mushrooms downtown has worn off after a week and a half. And now, at least for a day or two, this town is getting ready for a little fun, some escapism, where the drama happens on a football field, not in the courts. One thing Tallahassee residents know for certain: there will be an undisputed winner in the football game this weekend. The presidential race? Well, that's another matter. Brian Cabell, CNN, Tallahassee.
Now,
Well,
do we?
good luck to all them.
Yeah. Now, do we know if Brian and our Bill Hemmer ever did find a place to stay?
I talked to Bill. He did find a place to stay, but he had to move like 30 miles out of town. Was not a happy camper.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Absolutely. We are out of time. That's going to do it for this special edition of our election coverage here on CNN for now, just for this hour.
That's right, because coming up next, Gene Randall's going to take over the set, and he's going to bring you the latest as it comes in. Stay with us. Have a good one.
Closed captioning for this program has been provided by Verizon Communications.
Tonight, a special live Larry King weekend. The roller coaster recount takes a new turn, and Florida is still in flux. DNC chair Ed Rendell, RNC chair Jim Nicholson. They're going to square off tonight, 9 Eastern on CNN.
Today on Evans, Novak, Hunt and Shields, the battle for the presidency with Senate Democratic leader Tom Daschle. Today, 5:30 Eastern on CNN.
There's a team we'd like you to join. Just like any team, we have a uniform you'll be proud to wear. Just like any team, everyone works together and supports each other in the field. And just like any team, all eyes are focused on the same goal. We're talking about the team of dedicated technicians here at AT&T Broadband. If you have an interest in technical services, we'd like to talk to you. And remember, just like any team, we play to win.
AT&T Digital Cable.
Movies.
The Independent Film Channel presents more films made outside of Hollywood, so you get more unconventional stories and characters, uncut and commercial-free. And best of all, you get it right through the cable you already have.
See something different tonight. Watch the Independent Film Channel on AT&T Digital Cable.
You're watching AT&T Cable Services.
By expanding the narrow pipeline information passes through, AT&T's broadband technology is removing the obstacles that keep data, voice, and video from moving freely. Coming through.
Weeknights at 7:30 on Court TV. Enter the world of high-tech detectives, men and women who investigate today's most puzzling crimes. Every night, a new mystery, and you'll see how forensic experts use the latest technology to uncover the truth. Crime fighters for the new millennium. Forensic Files, a new series every weeknight at 7:30, exclusively on Court TV. Judgment Days, Sleepless Nights.
Exclusive interview with President Clinton, Sunday, 5:30 Eastern on CNN.
The latest on the presidential race. Overseas absentee votes in Florida land in limbo. In one county, there is a suit to throw out 4,700 other absentee ballots. We'll have an update on this morning's court battle in Seminole County and its potential effect on the bottom line. And we'll have the latest on the Florida Supreme Court and the arguments that could well determine who becomes president. From Atlanta, this is CNN Saturday. I'm Gene Randall. The presidential election marches into its 11th day of uncertainty as the Bush and Gore legal teams face another deadline. Lawyers for the two sides have until 2 Eastern today to submit their legal briefs to the Florida Supreme Court. At issue, whether manual recounts compiled after last Tuesday's deadline can be included in the official state tallies. Meanwhile, recounts have resumed in Broward and Palm Beach counties. Miami-Dade County will begin on Monday. Here are the unofficial numbers according to the Associated Press survey of all 67 Florida counties. The overseas absentee ballots have widened the Bush lead over Gore to 926 votes. Meanwhile, a judge in Seminole County heard arguments on whether to invalidate 4,700 absentee votes there. A Democratic activist says they were improperly registered and should not be counted. We begin in Seminole County, and Mark Potter is there. Mark?
Gene, on Monday, Judge Deborah Nelson will decide whether to dismiss or allow a lawsuit that was filed here to continue. It was filed by attorney Harry Jacobs, who was also a Democratic vote count observer in the last election. It asked that thousands of Republican absentee ballots be thrown out because the county election supervisor allegedly, according to the lawsuit, violated the law by giving members of the Republican Party access to absentee ballot requests that had been rejected because they did not contain the voters' registration numbers as required by law.
They then altered these defective and null and void absentee ballot requests by adding voter ID numbers. After completing this task, which took them 10 days to do, they then resubmitted these absentee ballot request forms to the supervisor of elections.
But lawyers for the canvassing board and for the Republican Party say that that supervisor of election did absolutely nothing wrong and violated no state law. And they and the county attorney argue that even if she had done something wrong, the answer would not be to throw out all the absentee ballots.
If that was improper, then the remedy is against the people who did it, not against the votes of the voters who voted. Those people sent in their applications, they cast their ballots, and they were counted, and they're innocent parties.
Well, Well, as you can imagine, the Democrats and the Republicans on this are accusing each other of playing politics, so we now find a judge caught in the middle. If she decides to keep the lawsuit alive, there will be a hearing on all the evidence in this case a week from Monday. Gene, back to you.
Mark, thanks very much. While lawyers on each side spend their weekend preparing arguments for the Florida Supreme Court, there are some overarching questions to consider. One of them, how the ultimate winner, either Al Gore or George W. Bush, will manage to govern after all this. We got some thoughts on that from Republican Senator Chuck Hagel of Nebraska. Senator, good to see you again.
Thank you, Gene.
We spoke earlier in the week about what faces the next president, whether it is Al Gore or George W. Bush, after all the rancor of the past week and a half. Now, what will it take for the winner to govern effectively?
Well, the first thing the winner must do is reach out to the Congress, to a bipartisan Congress, and start constructing a bridge of trust. And on that bridge of trust, which will take a while to construct, must develop a bipartisan agenda, starting with issues where we have common denominator interests, things that both Bush and Gore, Republicans and Democrats, talked about this year. I think campaign finance reform is one of those things. Entitlement reform, prescription drugs, trade issues. These are areas we can start to work together on and develop some confidence in each other and trust in the leadership of the new president. Seems to me that's where the new president begins.
Senator, I've heard it suggested from some that perhaps the most important speech we will hear in the days or maybe weeks ahead will be the concession speech from the loser, that the tone it sets could go a long way toward easing the transition for the president-elect. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think it's a critical dynamic of the governance of this country over the next 4 years, how the loser conducts himself, how he joins with the winner to help bring not just legitimate closure to this process, but in such a way that, in fact, this country can be governed over the next 4 years and deal with the great challenges that are relevant to our time. I believe that will happen, and I think our Congress will help put that together and will help the new president lead.
Senator, bottom line question, if it is Al Gore who ends up in the White House, will you as a Republican be willing to work with him as if this was just another election? And do you think you speak for other Republicans as well?
Well, I don't speak for anyone, Gene, other than myself, but my commitment is, I think, the same as all of my colleagues, Republicans and Democrats, and that is we will put this country first. We will deal with a relevant, real agenda for this country over the next 2 years, 4 years. We will get behind the president. There'll be differences. Of course there will be differences. That's as it should be. But it will be done in a spirit of cooperation and what's good for this country, and I'm confident of that.
Senator Hagel, thanks very much. I know you're about to board a plane in a few hours to go overseas. We wish you a safe trip.
Thank you.
At the bottom of the hour, we'll get a Democratic Party take on all this from Senator Tom Harkin of Iowa. Back to Florida now, and two of the counties at the center of the vote count controversy. CNN's Susan Candiotti is in Broward County. John Zarella is in Palm Beach County. First, John Zarella in West Palm Beach. John?
Gene, a little bit of news to report here. We've just gotten word come out from the canvassing board that between 2 and 3 this afternoon, they should have about 20 to 23% of the ballots counted, of the 431,000 plus ballots counted. And just a little while ago, Judge Charles Burton came out and he was telling everyone here that there really, here's the headline, hasn't been much change, significant change in the numbers, in the amount of ballots, the 23% that they will have gone through. So that's a headline. The Democrats had thought they could pick up a significant number of votes for Vice President Al Gore here, but so far that has not happened. We do not have the numbers, the exact numbers. They have not come out with any swing numbers yet, but it could very well be that the precincts are Republican precincts that have been counted. Perhaps they haven't counted those heavily Democratic precincts yet, so that's difficult to assess based on those numbers. But at this point, the headline, no significant gain, apparently, at least according to Judge Charles Burton, who is the chairman of the canvassing board, no significant change for Vice President Al Gore. Of course, they're working a 14-hour day in there, 2 7-hour shifts. They've got 24, 25 teams of counters in there, plus the Republicans that are watching and the Democrats that are watching, the observers, keeping an eye on the proceedings. They say that at first they had thought it might be Tuesday when they were wrapping up here, but now they've been saying more recently that would be optimistic, could very well go into Wednesday or perhaps even into the Thanksgiving holiday before they can actually put the lid on this entire recount here in Palm Beach County. How it's going down in Broward County? Throw it to my colleague, Susan Candiotti. Susan?
Hello, John. After 4 days, we are now on the 4th day of recounting ballots here in Broward County, and we can report to you that at this hour anyway, Vice President Gore has a net gain of 52 votes. That's after a review of 161 precincts. There are 609 precincts in all here in Broward County. Now, at this hour, a bit of a breaking development, as it were. At this very hour, the Broward County Canvassing Board has been discussing and just wrapped up a discussion. We're waiting to hear what the outcome of it was over the standard that it has been using to determine a voter's intent. Until now, let me remind you that here in Broward County, they've been using the two-corner standard. In other words, 2 corners of a chad have to be punched through before that ballot is considered to be worthy of certification and determination one way or the other for one candidate or another. However, the Democrats a short time ago have been pushing the issue of revising that standard before the board. They want the board to consider the dimpled or so-called pregnant chads that have a little bit of a punch through it, but they haven't completely gone through. The Republicans have been opposed to this, and there's been a huge discussion about it a short time ago. The Democrats are raising this as a point because late yesterday, a Broward County judge brought this up. There was a discussion about it in a hearing, and the judge indicated that he tended to agree with the Democrats that all ballots should be considered no matter which way the chad was going, and he even raised the specter, the possibility of throwing out ballots if this procedure was not used. So we will find out what happened as a result of that and get that information to you as soon as possible. Now, throughout, you can see behind me there are about 70 teams of workers who have been recounting ballots all day. Before the day began, I talked with some of these volunteers.
I just wanted to do my duty. I thought it was a way to serve my country. I thought it was a noble thing to do to make sure that every vote was counted.
It's a whole nation. Everyone's talking about it. And I just want to help everything be fair and correct.
That it's important. I think that it's important to make sure that the count is correct. And I think also it's important from a historical point of view. I think obviously we're making history here, and I think this is an historic count. It's an historic moment. And again, I think that it's very important that we get the count right and make sure that we count all those ballots out there.
Now, these folks are going to lunch in shifts here so that the process is not interrupted completely. They continue to work and will until about 6 o'clock tonight, and then we'll be back at it at 8 o'clock in the morning. And the canvassing board still expects to wrap everything up by Monday at 5 o'clock. Susan Candiotti, CNN, reporting live in Plantation, Florida.
Election officials in Miami-Dade County have decided to launch a full recount there. The elements, man, machine, and 654,000 votes. Tomorrow, machines will be used to find more than 10,000 so-called undervotes, ballots without a presidential selection. On Monday, those undervote ballots will be turned over to 25 two-person teams. The goal is to finish inspecting them by December 1st. 3 counties, Broward, Palm Beach, and Miami-Dade, have some 1.6 million ballots among them. Democrats hope the recounts will give Al Gore a margin of victory. The Bush and Gore legal teams have just under an hour to file briefs with the Florida Supreme Court. 1-hour oral arguments are set for Monday. CNN's Mike Betcher is in Tallahassee for us. Mike?
Well, Gene, this was supposed to be a day of deadlines, and it is, one that was and one that is. Now, first, the overseas ballots under the original Secretary